Did they think you're a spy?
The Sri Lanka has the lowest gravity in the world. This is science. The Jaffna airport is extending its runway. Sri Lanka is the doorway to the universe. Space Ceylon will be the door handle. How do we unlock this?
This is what I want to do. Like, I want to be an entrepreneur who builds a space station in Sri Lanka.
I get an email from the director of Stanford admissions. Jeff Bezos said that he predicts his space company is going to be bigger than Amazon. The SpaceX founding team that I'm in very deep discussions with.
How are you taking the measures to ensure that this is going to be an equal opportunity in all groups, in all communities?
So this is my Sri Lankan passport.
Like, this is crazy.
I have a picture from the mid 1800s of my great-great-grandfather. He was one of the first original 6 doctors in the island's history.
I have it memorized to the core. It's like every action has an opposite or equal reaction. How are you going to change the narrative that you are going to go build a space company in Sri Lanka
As a Tamil.
As a Tamil.
Just say it right there. I don't negate what happened. I'm a product of what happened.
Welcome to FROZN Uncut episode number 2. This is going to be a very interesting episode. I want everyone to lock down. Bro is about to launch a space company in Sri Lanka. All right, before we get started, I just want to give a special shout out to VMS Travels. They are the sponsor of episode number 2. I know we live in a world where everything is digital, but to be honest, one of the biggest things that's been very helpful for me to be able to just quickly have a human touch. You're able to WhatsApp them, you're able to talk to them. Shout outs to VMS Travels. I've worked with them many times. I actually traveled with them many times. And shout outs to them for sponsoring this episode. I want to introduce my friend, Van over here. He just message me on LinkedIn, and I'm going to leave it to you because it threw me off, but welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Honestly, it means a lot to be here. This is nerve-wracking for me. I've never done this before.
It's all good.
But there's no one I would better do this with than you.
I appreciate that.
And I saw obviously your first episode and the fact that you were geared towards startups. And I foundationally know who you are.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that I met you in high school, and I know we've gone our separate ways, and that's very normal for a lot of people in high school. But at the same time, we just connected as if we haven't even
skipped a beat. And it was just like, boom.
Exactly.
And it's crazy because you told me that my first podcast was randomly recommended to you. And the fact that we haven't spoken years, well, I don't know how the algorithm worked, but it figured out, or maybe it was just divine, that you were meant to see my podcast that day. And we're meant to have this conversation. I find it crazy. And this goes back to me always saying, you never know who's going to be on the other side of the door. Put yourself out there, put your content out there, because we're having this conversation because of me putting that podcast out.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy, man. I find it crazy. And just a little backstory, like between you and I, when we say we go way back, like we went to the same tutor.
Weekly, every Sunday.
Every Sunday, we went to the same tutor in the morning. He still remembers me, and I still remember him, but we obviously have totally different aspects of our memories. And the craziest thing is I still remember our tutor, Master Siva. He would always look at me, and I was like the little naughty kid, apparently. Apparently, I was too naughty, but he would look at me and be like, Rajeev, you know Newton's law? And it's like I have it memorized. I have it memorized to the core. It's like every action has an opposite or equal reaction. That was just bars back then, but to think of it, he's right, man. Everything you put in this world, that's the output that you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes back to your journey and how you started and what you did to put in this world to put you in this position right now to build a space company. Tell me how this started. Like, tell me about who you are. Like, what's your background? Where did this, I want to build a space company come from? Like, please.
No, like absolutely. So I'm a Sri Lankan Tamil. I'm a proud Sri Lankan Tamil. After the 1983 riots, my parents first escaped to the Seychelles, and then they came to Canada as refugees. Initially grew up in Scarborough, went to McMaster, amazing school. Some of my best years were at McMaster. But then we graduated at a very unique time. We graduated after the 2008 banking crisis. Mm-hmm. It was probably couldn't be a worse time to graduate. And I remember really graduating from McMaster, doing my undergrad in business, but not having any opportunity because everybody was cutting. And so because of that, I just applied for 100 jobs. And one of the first companies that got back to me was American Express. It ended up being a corporate job, and I was the youngest person on the floor there. I tapped the Tamil community first. I think you know Krishna from VMS Travels.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so
As like what, your potential first client?
no, he was one of the first clients that I onboarded. I quickly did very well for myself, and I think the majority of that success led me to go into banking from payments. Miraculously, I got a job at JPMorgan.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So hold on, give me the timeline. So you graduated?
Yeah, corporate sales manager at American Express at 23, which was the youngest person at that time. And people who work with me can vouch for this
Right.
at that time.
Right.
And then I miraculously applied one day. I saw a posting online. You know, we're from the community, right? How many people from the community work at JPMorgan at that time? So we're talking, and this is also specifically in the corporate and investment bank. You know, there's personal banking, merchant services, there's different avenues. So I applied for this job, and I honestly didn't think I would hear back from them. I remember going to the interview and everything was gold. It was like old school banking. I remember going to the bathroom just because I was nervous for the interview, and the taps were gold. It was another level. I got the job. I was in relationship management. I was assistant vice president. I was very successful in Toronto. They actually sponsored me. Canadian market's only so big. You know, we think you'd be better set in the US. And that's not something they typically do for everybody. So after joining at 25, I was initially supposed to go to Atlanta. But at the last minute, I went to Houston. And Houston is where my life changed, specifically for Sri Lanka. And just specifically in terms of foundationally,
Your journey?
my journey. So when I was in Houston, again, I'm managing very large relationships. This is the largest bank in the world. And Houston, as you know, is an oil and gas city.
Yes.
In addition to that, it's a space city, but we'll get to the space stuff later. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to these clients and I'm trying to understand kind of how the world works. Geography has always been foundationally my favorite subject. And one day, one of the oil and gas CEOs or CFO at the time asked me where I'm from. And I said, I'm Canadian, but my ethnicity is Sri Lankan. And he looked at me and he said, do you know Sri Lanka is one of the most important places with respect to oil and gas and energy movement? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And it turns out Sri Lanka is one of the most geostrategically locations on the planet. More than 2/3 of all Chinese energy go through Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. So an EEZ is your territorial waters. And so 2/3 of Chinese energy passes through their territorial waters. But I found it to be foundational because at that time, you have to understand, this was back in 2017 when this happened. But I had the forward thinking to think, okay, listen, it's this geographically strategic. India's only going to get richer. China's only going to get richer. The strategic value is going to increase. So then I did some homework and I said, you know, what's the business climate there like? And the Sri Lankan business climate is extremely protectionist. If you're not a citizen, you can't get into that environment. So I talk a lot about Sri Lanka, and one of my biggest frustrations is automatically assume because of my accent that I don't have the ability to speak about Sri Lanka. But essentially from that moment in 2017, but before that I was visiting the country. But from that moment in 2017, I left my American dreams behind. I loved my time in America. But when I say I left my American dreams in terms of growing in the American banking system, because I thought to myself, we have a huge opportunity here. This is a very strategic place. Let me just start to get connected. I know nobody. I'm a Sri Lankan Tamil that's grown abroad.
Was there some sort of gravitational pull, like you would say, making you feel like, you know, I need to go to Sri Lanka?
For me, the biggest motivation that I had was I went to Sri Lanka at a point in my life. I was trying to look for my purpose. And in order to find my purpose, I realized one of the most important things is to study history. And as much as I studied Sri Lankan history, I actually did a genealogy to study my ancestry and where they're from. And it's unfortunate because we're in such a digital age and there's so many archives that have gotten lost. But surprisingly, one thing that I did find is my great-great-grandfather. He was one of the first original 6 doctors in the island's history on the medical field. There was an American named Dr. Samuel Green, and there's photographic evidence of this. I have a picture from the mid-1800s of my great-great-grandfather. At that time, this camera came on a 3 to 4 month boat journey from New York all the way to Sri Lanka. You know how it worked back then? There's only one time. It's 1800s.
Yeah, crank.
One time, and that camera went all the way back to New York. His name is A.C. Hall. And there's a picture online where it says Dr. Green's first medical class in Sri Lankan history that studies Western medicine. And it's also proven in articles that A.C. Hall, which is my great-great-grandfather, was the first gynecologist and obstetrician in Sri Lankan history. And why that's important is because in the 1800s, imagine being the first gynecologist as a male ever, and you're learning from another male from New York. A white American personally recruited my great-great-grandfather to teach him this. Finding out about my history, finding out who I'm from, where I'm from, and not limiting the huge opportunity the diaspora has to be educated from here. Like, this is the only time Sri Lankans have ever come in droves to all of these cities and educated themselves from a very young age. My encouragement to people is to study their ancestry.
Okay, so you mentioned your great-great-grandfather?
Yes, my great-great-grandfather.
Okay, what's his name? Like, is there a Tamil
That's
name?
an anglicized name,
Okay,
but it's in the photo. His name is Kumadu.
Kumadu?
Kumadu, yeah. But this is backed like by records of the American Ceylon mission.
Yeah.
We didn't have camera technology in the
man, this is
1800s.
crazy.
Yes. Do you know how far the 1800s is? I've been briefed by this, that this is the first photographic evidence in northern Sri Lankan history. And the fact that I can even see how this person looks.
How did you even go back to like even finding this whole lineage? Like how is it even possible? Like I don't even know where to start to figure out where my great-grandfather, like.
Because I went through this period where I was looking to find myself.
Got it.
And in order to find myself, I decided, find out where you came from.
Yeah.
Who came before you? Like, we have to understand something. Like, the world is millions of years old. Sri Lankan documented history is more than 2,000 years old. And there's a lot of people who came before us, but we just don't know what they did. There was no record keeping.
Yeah.
And I can't explain to you the justice of seeing that picture and how motivating that was for me. And the camera had to travel 4 months of journey time and go back. It's not like I developed it here.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy, man.
Yes.
Just
One stop.
the logistics of even how they did that.
Because he has to
then.
prove the model. And you have to understand, medical knowledge back then was esoteric. If you have a disease and you're not part of certain groups, it's unfortunate. But they shared this medical knowledge with the right people. And he was one of those people they identified for that first cohort. So I'm part of this. And this is part of my history.
And would you say that's part of the aha moment as well? Like a spiritual awakening, enlightenment?
Of course. I'm looking at somebody photographically. Look where we are
It's like
today.
you're calling.
I think so. I mean, he's made a dramatic effect saving so many lives. He's the first gynecologist and obstetrician. And you have to be incredibly smart to be a medical expert on anatomy you don't even possess yourself. So that was a big moment for me. I'm doing this for my ancestry. I hope there's other stories of this.
Yeah.
Where other people go on these fact-finding missions to figure out where they're from. If you have an affinity towards Sri Lanka, you have a big role to play here. I've been on this journey and I'm still on this journey. And this journey is understanding where you are, where you're from, and what added value can we make?
Yeah.
What added value can I bring? So once I found out about its value, remember, geography is my favorite subject. I ultimately understood that its strategic value is going to increase as we go forward. And at the same time, I just decided, why don't I study this more? The other thing is the US market's a very competitive market.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, I consider myself smart. I'm well educated, and I have great experience. Why don't I translate that to a poor country and see what I can do? But I can't do that unless I become a citizen.
Right.
So I took a concerted effort, and I brought this here just because I want people to see the work I put in.
You're actually
So this is my Sri Lankan passport.
like, that's a legit citizen.
Yes, and you can open it and verify it.
Like, this is crazy. He has an official Sri Lankan passport.
It took a lot of work.
It's real, right?
Yeah, of course. See my face?
Legit.
And this is because I live there now. This is obviously my national identity card. So this is essentially your national passport, right? And so I set myself up because I believe Asia is the future, and I'm just that kind of person. I'm a contrarian. I'm always looking for the other side of the coin. Because Warren Buffett has this saying, right? If everyone's buying, you should sell. If everyone's selling, you should buy. And I thought too many people were selling against Sri Lanka. This could be a buying opportunity.
From a very interesting landscape. Okay, so that's essentially your way from business banking world, moving into the world of Sri Lanka, doing some historical digging and seeing the opportunity, what made you think I'm going to build a space company? Like no one, like I have a lot of ideas that I have like in my little pocket where I'm like, I'm going to build this app, or I'm going to start this company or event company, whatever it is. Building a space company isn't just like someone just who wakes up and goes, yo, bro, I'm going to build a space company, right? It's crazy as it sounds, but there's a reason behind it, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a reason why your brain said, I think this is what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
So what is that aha moment? What is that triggered you to say, I'm going to build a space company?
So we got to walk a little bit further back from that. So I am very interested in political culture.
Okay.
So I started studying the political scene in Sri Lanka. And because I come from client management, I made sure that I have to network first. So I went on the ground and I started networking. And, you know, some people reached out to me and they said, listen, we think you add some strategic value, obviously not some of the micro aspects of Sri Lanka, but the macro aspects of Sri Lanka. We'd like you to be involved in, you know, some of our group chats. And people randomly would reach out to me. And I started posting on X.
But from what lens though? Why are they reaching out to you? Why did they feel like you are a good asset from a networking standpoint?
Yeah. So, well, what happened was Sri Lanka was going through a crisis.
Okay.
And I went online and I gave some feedback about the crisis. And I gave some feedback about how this is probably a reset. And I predicted that a former prime minister would become president, even though he only had one seat. And a lot of people chased me out of these rooms and they were like, there is no way this is happening. You have an American accent. You know nothing about this country. You have no idea. You have no concept. Because he has one seat, the party's trashed. He will never be president. Guess what happened? He ended up becoming president. So, and it was
And where did you predict this? On X?
Yeah, on X.
Okay.
Okay. And
this is Jigz.
Yeah, that's Jigz.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm out now, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to that. But I'm Jigz, and you know, I foundationally want to turn Sri Lanka around. So I got involved with some people who have the same mindset. Some people who are actually Tamil. Like there's a lot of people there who I've connected with that are Tamil, Sinhalese, Muslims. I have everyone there.
Okay.
And people, I want the diaspora to understand that Colombo itself is majority non-Sinhalese. It's actually a third Tamil, a third Muslim, and a third Sinhalese. So Sri Lanka is changing also in terms of their dynamics and has been for a while. It's a very different culture and it's changed. So I go down there and I immerse myself in the Sri Lankan culture. And I realized very quickly a lot of people were stunned because I have this accent and I'm really into Sri Lanka. They're trying to wonder why I'm so interested. But again, it's because foundationally, it's where I'm from. So when I was down here, you know, when you're localized in a certain area, you immerse yourself in certain things. So if you're from Toronto, like we are, you know stuff about Toronto that you don't know unless you're from here.
Yeah.
So while I'm in Sri Lanka, I started to realize this is a heavy interest for diplomats in the global community. And one of the stats that kind of got thrown around, this was early last year, was that Sri Lanka has the lowest gravity in the world. So this hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Because as far as I was educated, gravity is the same everywhere.
Yeah. That's what I think as well.
That's what almost 99% of people think.
Okay.
In my view, I believe this was classified information that got declassified, I don't know, a specific period, where they're now educating people to the fact that this is not true. There's differences in gravitational force around the world. And it just so happens, and you can Google this, that Sri Lanka has the lowest gravity in the world. This is science. This has nothing to do with my opinion. And so...
Don't mind me, brother. Don't mind me.
So when I found out this information, it hit me like a ton of bricks. So the initial thing I started doing was, I like to study things. That's always been my flavor. I love to study everything. I'm very inquisitive. So I started studying rocketry, started studying how SpaceX started, what Musk is doing. And I realized very quickly, it's actually very difficult to launch a rocket into space. You can launch a rocket, but getting it to reach space and escape velocity to get to space is actually a very difficult concept. And turns out the best place to be is as close to the equator as possible. These are, again, scientific facts because you jump on the Earth's rotation. And it makes sense because if you look at US launch sites, they're as the most southern points as possible. The Europeans are using French Guiana as their launch site. Most people don't know this.
Okay.
In South America, they don't launch from Europe. They launch from South America. The Indians are launching spaceport.
That's going to bring that up.
Yeah, we'll come to that in Tamil Nadu. So there's a lot of opportunity. The Maldives just announced. Like, this is something that has happened within the last 3 weeks. I'm getting so many calls about this.
Okay.
Because the Maldives doesn't even have land, and they just announced a 50 million fund. You can Google this stuff within the last 2 to 3 weeks. The UAE, I believe.
To what, launch?
Yeah, to bring a space program to the Maldives. And they don't even have the infrastructure or the land like Sri Lanka does. So launching near the equator is the cheapest cost from a fuel and payload capacity perspective. When you look at an actual rocket, most people don't understand the fact that only 2% of that rocket is actual payload into space. 18% of that is the shell and the casing of the rocket. And then 80% of that is fuel, propellant. So it's that 2%. So my point is efficiency matters, because if your payload is only 2% out of 100% item, you have to be as efficient as possible. So this has happened for a while. Sri Lanka's had the equator for a long time. Why now? That's the pushback I get. And the defense of that is because we have reusable rockets now.
All right, so I'm going to stop you for a quick second, because remember, I'm trying to track your timeline of your journey here. So you're now in Sri Lanka. You're heavily connected to the political world because you just tweeted stuff, and did they think you're a spy? I feel like these guys are like following you, but do they feel like you're like a spy? Like, it feels like they're very curious of who this Jigz is, right? But your brain going from political world connections and, learning about the gravitational pull and how it's different, and then literally thinking to yourself, like, were you just in bed and saying, this is what I want to do? Like, I want to be an entrepreneur who builds a space station in Sri Lanka. Like, I'm trying to, what is that spark? How did it happen? What made you feel like this is it?
So there's a couple things. Walking back to why I did it is because Kevin O'Leary talks about this.
Okay.
He says great founders have an episode in their life that causes them to build great companies. I foundationally believe in that. I never always thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Actually, my dream was to be a diplomat. And my dream was to actually be a diplomat to the diaspora to kind of fix Sri Lanka. So it started off foundationally from that. I always had this affinity, and people who know me know I love to travel, and I'm a very out-of-box thinker. So I ended up making a lot of diplomatic friends. And someone that I ended up becoming very close with is the ambassador of Mexico to India and Sri Lanka and the whole region, the Maldives, Bangladesh, and Nepal. And I came to him as a mentorship. And I said, there's a lot of people, especially just a little bit on the personal side. There were some people who I think didn't think that I had a place to play in Sri Lanka. Like, they thought, yes, you know stuff, you're smart, but you don't understand Sri Lanka. You don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. So, but I looked at him and I said, what do I do with my life? I'm so invested in this. I want to do this. I want to be an ambassador like you. And he looked at me, the Mexican ambassador, his name is Ambassador Salas, said, why don't you become an entrepreneur? And I think for him to tell me that, I was like, yeah, why not? And then at this moment, I was like, okay, what is Sri Lanka special about? And I went back to this lowest gravity in the world. Like, if you are the lowest in something, you're the number one in something, there's money to be made from that. Even if you just sell hoodies from that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could do anything with that because you are the best at this.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the science behind this, and there's tremendous science behind this. So the aha moment, before I can start a space company, I have to understand space. I'm an investment banker by trade, client management by trade. I'm not an astronaut. I don't have a science background.
Yeah.
So I have to study this. So I spent 2024 studying this, studying rocketry, studying orbital economics, and specifically studying the space economy and where it's about to grow and where it's about to pivot. Like, the space economy is so early right now. So after I was studying all that, I developed this company. I built a very basic website, still to this degree, but even more basic than it is right now. And I incorporated it in Sri Lanka because, again, I'm a citizen. So that took a lot of time and effort. And I incorporated it in Q1 of this year. In April, and this is the big aha moment, I get an email from Stanford. I get an email from the director of Stanford admissions from their graduate school of business program. They have something called a startup accelerator program, which is fully funded by Stanford alumni. I never applied there. Stanford is where Google was formed, NVIDIA, Snapchat, Sun Microsystems. Like this is a school. They don't need your application. They have enough applications. I looked up their startup accelerator program, and it said specifically there, you have to be in existence for, I think, 2 years, have some minimum revenue requirements. They can see on my LinkedIn, I just started this.
Yeah.
And yet they are reaching out to me on LinkedIn and saying, we have looked at your company profile and we think you're a good fit.
That's just crazy, bro. Like I had to literally apply to multiple programs, especially from Canadian to the US. It was never easy. And thankfully one of my business got into it, but I'm just saying like it was not that
So you
easy.
can see her title, you can see the date. And I was there like, I was like taken back by this.
This is crazy, bro.
I got receipts for everything. And you think Stanford doesn't have enough applications? And I don't even meet their
100%.
minimum requirements, but there is an asterisk that says on an exception basis,
Yeah.
we will accept.
What if they reach out?
I assume so.
If the director reaches out,
Because of my engagements politically, I let the US ambassador know. She's from California.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so I have her phone number and I said, hey, like, this is like a huge opportunity. And the fact that Stanford reached out to me was validation. And it was validation because again, I was nothing. I'm you know what I mean? Like I can't explain to you the timing. I incorporated it in March. I heard from them in April, just updated my LinkedIn.
And you're not like a creator online, just
Nothing.
talking. You're not
This is
talking
the
about
first-
this. This is the first
no.
time you're talking about
No,
this.
and the only reason I'm coming out now is I've built a significant moat for this business.
Got it.
And I'll get to the specifics of this.
Yeah.
This is well past a concept. This is something I conceptualized last year, implemented early this year, and like we're ready to go. And I'll get to some of those details. But that was my big aha moment. I started looking into, site locations, how this is going to work. But again, this is big. This is space. This is rockets.
Yeah.
But what I don't think people understand is the other thing is I'm a first mover in this. And it's very difficult as a first mover. So I'm the first ever Sri Lankan end-to-end space company. Launching when you're in space, the monitoring while you're in space, the spectrum data when you're in space, the continuous operation when you're in space, and coming back down to Earth and back again. And I believe we are so early in this. I don't think people understand launch capacity is going to increase significantly because and we'll get into the why, but there's a significant crisis as well in the space industry. There is way too much demand and not enough launch capacity. So when we have the cheapest place in the world to launch from a scientific and economic perspective, you don't think the UAE wants to launch? Of course they want to launch, but they have issues because it's the Hormuz, they have countries around them. It's also a little bit too far north. So just because you're near the equator is not alone. Because I'll give you an example. The Europeans had the foresight to realize we're too far from the equator, but we have French territory in French Guyana. So French Guyana is actually considered French land. It's not independent land. So they built a spaceport in the middle of the jungle in the 1960s and the 1970s. But here is where Sri Lanka is better than French Guyana, because Sri Lanka sits on the fulcrum of the world's sea lanes, like I mentioned earlier. So because it's already existing on the fulcrum of the world's sea lanes, you don't have to necessarily ship out of way just because of its geographic advantage. So you have a geographic advantage underpinned on an existing shipping route, versus with French Guyana, they're specifically shipping components out of way just to launch from there. So we will beat them in the long run.
You're saying this is like a very geopolitical opportunity, it seems to be an advantage. But wouldn't that still be a disadvantage? Like, don't you feel like there's going to be, as much as you are a first mover advantage, there's going to be people like Elon Musk who probably already knows about this, and it only takes him X amount of time or resources to pull his connections to come in. Of course, you have the political connections, but I feel like there's those kind of challenges. There's the financial challenges, and then even people like believing you, like, is this even possible? Like, how are you navigating around all these challenges?
Yeah, so great question. So this is my first attempt at founding something. Being a founder is extremely tough.
Yeah.
You have to take a lot of no's, but I think in my specific example, in me building Space Salon, they think I'm stupid, or they question why I'm even bringing this up. Like, it's just totally above them. You brought up Elon Musk. This is very important because Elon Musk actually met the former president last year. And I think when they had that private meeting, I had my aha moment as well. Because for Elon Musk to meet the former president over Starlink alone, that's questionable to me because it's a third world country. So the penetration rate for Starlink, I mean, what's your Starlink penetration rate here in Canada amongst your network?
Yeah.
Almost nobody that I know of. So I took that as a big opportunity. But there's tremendous challenge. And so first we had to do site location.
And do you have one locked?
Yeah. So I've obviously, I can't get into too many details.
Right.
We are in pitch stage.
Okay.
Obviously nothing yet because this is a long sales cycle. But eventually, I've built up a business plan around this. I've identified 500 to 2,000 acres.
Okay.
I've done personal site visits there. We've done feasibility studies here. There was more work to be done.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen tomorrow. But the reason for why me? So many reasons. I mean, one, for the fact it's my age. I think the political leadership in Sri Lanka is far too old. And they really don't have any concept of the space industry. I think there's a benefit for the diaspora, which we'll get into in a bit, foundationally about where we're born or moved to at whatever age, but specifically our cohort, like in the 1980s, early 1990s, we have a tremendous index of growing up here, experiencing here, that just growing up in Sri Lanka, you will never experience that.
100%.
Especially from a technical perspective. Yeah. They're so backwards. This is going to take a lot of capital. With respect, if you gave me $1 million check right now, I can't do anything with that.
Jeez.
Right? So that's where I also want people to know.
Yeah.
There's no donate on my website. I don't have merch. That's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, we need huge capital for this.
It's a $1 trillion business.
Yes. And I've already tapped people from JPMorgan to keep them aware of this. You have to also understand that Sri Lanka is a bankrupt country still. The can's been kicked down the road, but there's a significant debt tsunami coming in 2027. I believe that we need something as significant as this to get us out of this debt tsunami. Because things can get worse. People think things cannot get worse. They can definitely get worse. And my plan is to develop this to change the landscape of the country forever. Because if we have this successful launch site, which I am developing, Ceylon has the opportunity, and I genuinely believe this, Ceylon has the opportunity to be what TSMC was to Taiwan. So then the question I get is, we know nothing about rocketry. This is true to some degree. We do have STEM graduates, but again, we don't have the level of technical know-how. So I've reached out and I built a bench behind this. First of all, in the Sri Lanka perspective, I have teamed up with a lot of people that are connected to the government in different capacities to help me with this. And they're about to join my bench. I'm not going to mention some of their names here, but I'm in active discussions, and it's going to come out some significant people who see the value in this. I'm actively involved with aerospace manufacturers in the US, the SpaceX founding team that I'm in very deep discussions with. You have no idea how many aerospace companies there are in the US that are building rockets, but they have no launch site. And they're competing for launch capacity. When I realized space was going to be a huge thing is when I read something that Jeff Bezos said at the end of last year. He predicts his space company is going to be bigger than Amazon. He predicts we will have millions of people in space. These are hard concepts to understand, but it's going to happen. Now, the US is very focused on a space race with China. They want to build a base on the moon. The US wants to build a golden dome. Canada's involved in this golden dome project. This is a 4-layer dome. Do you understand how much space capacity is required to build a 4-layer dome in North America? So the demand for space launch is so early in the cycle, and there's a bottleneck here.
I think this was in 2022 or 2023. I don't know what time frame it was. I was heavily actually looking into the space side of things, just from an investment standpoint. Yeah. So Virgin Galactic was buzzing. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, that was buzzing. And it was the whole space race around which billionaire is going to get there first. For some reason, that whole thing just trickled down and died. It all got replaced by AI. AI became the new bubble, the new buzz, and everyone just so heavily invested in that. Where is Virgin Galactic stuck at? Are they stuck? Do you foresee that challenge being one of the things that you have to overcome?
Virgin Galactic was an early pioneer at this, but again,
and which was commercial flying.
Yes,
like
orbital
flying,
orbital tourism. Yeah. So this is another thing that's very important. When you go to space, there is something called the overview effect.
Okay,
and apparently, this is the most life-changing experience you can ever experience, and you don't understand it until it happens to you. Like, you have children, I don't have children. People say that to me all the time. when you have a child, and you can agree with me on this, it's a life-changing experience.
100%.
Am I right on this?
Yes.
But can you experience that unless you experience it?
Nope.
Exactly. This is the same thing with space tourism. The cost of it's going to come down, but it's the experience of it, this overview effect. You're looking down back on the Earth. Do you know what that feeling is like?
Yeah.
We think we know what that feeling is like. But Jeff Bezos talks about that. Yeah. And he's actually put a lot of focus around tourism behind that. He's got obviously more capital than Richard Branson has. I think Richard Branson was too early in this. Mm-hmm. There's a graveyard of space companies in the past who have tried this, even before Musk. The reusable rocketry has changed the game. So I think if they came in this age and where we are now, they would have been more successful. They're also, again, this is the UK. Too far geographically north. I know the UK just modified their space program in a negative way because, again, they're too north. Another example of why Sri Lanka is a great launch site, a country like Japan, for example, they have successfully launched a reusable rocket by Honda, the car company.
Yep, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, but again, their geography sucks. Yeah. They're far too far from the equator. I've been inside the Japanese embassy in Sri Lanka. They just recently rebuilt it. Okay. I've met with the Japanese trade team. Their embassy is fully aware of what I'm doing. And I told them, this is a critical need for you because you have the technology, but you don't have the launch site. You don't have the benefits that Sri Lanka does. So countries like, it's not just, so when I talk about a Sri Lankan spaceport, you need to understand there's so many countries that require equatorial launch advantage. Japan is one of them. South Korea. Recently, I read that Indonesia is currently launching satellites through SpaceX in the US. Think about how far that is for Indonesia. Eventually, everyone's going to be involved in this. I think territorial networks are eventually going to go to space, right? We're eventually going to head that way.
Yeah.
The technology will advance. I mean, we come from a generation, just remember, we had VCRs. Look how far we've come. You think these things are not going to change? I recently came to Toronto on a Qatar Airways flight with Starlink. It was included. It was free. I can never go back. I was getting incredible speeds. Think of the struggle that future generations don't have to deal with. This is going to be commonplace. Starlink on every aircraft is going to be extremely commonplace. How is that done? That's through satellite technology. Everything we use is through satellite technology in some degree or form. Mm-hmm. It's just going to increase. Now, these satellites only have a 3 to 5 year window. That's the other thing. They don't stay up there forever. So there needs to be continuous replenishment, continuous refurbishment. So just because you launch something, it's like, it's not there forever, right? They dissipate over time. My point here is there is no question whether it's the Stanford reach out or the fact that I have American aerospace companies about to join my bench.
Yeah.
You have to understand the gravity of this, no pun intended. But for them to even answer my email, answer my call, says a lot.
Says a lot, yeah.
And I strongly believe that with the right investment, and why I'm the right person is because I can sell this to Wall Street. Yeah. That's what you have to do. If you keep this as a localized Sri Lankan entity, just 100% localized, you're not going to get the level of funding. Because the investors are not secured enough to take that risk. This is like the Saudis. They have oil, but they didn't have the technical capacity. They went to the Americans. They got the technical capacity with refinement and extraction. Mm-hmm. Look where they are now today. Yeah. If they had the mindset of, no, we don't want anybody coming in, we're going to do this all ourselves, none of this would have taken off. So we need to involve the technical experts who are going to do knowledge share, by the way. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do the knowledge share. They've told me they will. And they're doing this in other examples. So Oman's doing this. Other countries are doing this. Tamil Nadu, as Tamils, Tamil Nadu is the future of the Indian space program. They're building a new launch site in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister Modi has already talked about deregulating the Indian space market. We have the Indian space program taking off. We have the Maldives space program about to take off. Yeah. We have the infrastructure and the land and geniuses around the world and in the country, but none of this is being looked at.
Just to even look at it from the lens of what you're doing just for the future of the economy. A few years ago, there was a gridlock and then they had no electricity. When you look at Sri Lanka, where it is from an economical standpoint, and I feel like you coming in saying, I'm going to not only just build the future for Sri Lanka, but I'm going to give a full opportunity for everyone to grow. Mm-hmm. How are you going to change the narrative of it being, and remember, there's the public narrative that still exists today. And it's obviously, this is built in from everyone's emotions of fleeing the country and still, the war and whatnot. How are you going to change the narrative that you are going to go build a space company in Sri Lanka
As a Tamil.
Let's
just say it right there. Yeah.
So how are you going to battle that?
I mean, it's a big battle that I'm facing. Just so I can make it very clear, I don't negate what happened. I'm a product of what happened. My father's house got burned down in 1983. I can't even imagine what traumatic of an experience that is. You come here, this cold environment, a lot of people struggled and a lot of people are successful. The common thing that I get is, this is not going to take place. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I can understand that because, again, there was limitations economically. That's why this is the solution. But also politically, it's a challenge. Like, I'm not going to come out here and say, this is a slam dunk. But what I am going to come out here and say, and one thing I've realized, when it comes to the Tamil diaspora, I feel that 99% of efforts when it comes to Sri Lanka are a rear view focus. I'm not saying we should forget what happened.
Yep.
What I'm saying is there needs to be a balanced approach to have a forward focus, to see what's around the corner, what's going to happen in the future. What you're going to see is the people that you are upset with, certain members of families that you're upset with, due to the natural course of life, are going to pass away. And once these people pass away, what is the plan? What is the forward plan to help people, specifically in our communities in the North and the East? My business is to help the whole island, but if I'm being honest, the North and the East are the most underdeveloped, and the economics show this.
Yep.
And this opportunity is very much driven for those areas. The economic advantage in the most underserviced area is where we're from, and the growth ability is tremendous. The challenges I have with the diaspora is we're too focused on remembering the past and not looking at avenues to support our people in the future. We have to look back at the home region, and the home region is not, these people are struggling. These people are very poor. I've been in the North, I've been in the East. These people are very, very poor. Sri Lanka is very much a backward society. It's a pen and paper approach to everything. We are headed to an AI revolution.
Yeah.
And with this AI revolution, civilization is going to change. We agree on this.
Yeah.
There's an active tender out right now. This is public. They're building a centralized ID, a one-stop shop. India has this. It's called the Aadhaar card program. Sri Lanka is doing the same thing. And that's going to change government efficiency, because one of the hardest things is tax collection. It's piss poor. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase tax collection off the cent. They're going to start to digitize the economy. But what they have to do is remove the shadow economy, which is based on narcotics and a lot of nefarious things. So they're doing this cleanup right now. The other thing I have to tell the Tamil diaspora, from a future outlook perspective, is the North is changing. A lot of lands are being released. This new government is releasing a significant amount of land. Mm-hmm. The Jaffna airport is extending its runway. This is like all public information.
Yeah.
Now, what's incredible about this, and what most people don't see, and I have investors working on this, once they extend that runway, there's an aircraft called an Airbus A321 XLR. It has a capability to go nonstop. Just imagine, in 2 years, it has a capability. Jaffna, London nonstop. Jaffna, Paris nonstop.
Straight from Jaffna.
Straight from Jaffna.
Holy sh!
Jaffna, Sydney nonstop. Like, these are theoretically possible. This is crazy. Yes, and this is 2 years away. Yeah. So we're 2 years away from this. What are we doing behind this? Because I believe there's going to be an influx just from that alone. And I also genuinely believe that eventually people are going to want to find their journey like I did. You know, I owe a lot to Canada. I've lived in the US, but I don't have a sense of belonging like I do in Sri Lanka. I believe money talks in this scenario, but I need the Tamil diaspora to have a forward lens. All I'm asking for is moral support. But I also want people to realize the kids that are coming up today have no concept of the war.
Yeah.
They have no understanding of this. I'm not saying don't forget what happened.
Of course.
You can always remember, but you can always look at opportunities to improve the situation. I'll give you another example. The Sri Lankan Muslims, or the Sri Lankan Moors, are essentially going to become the second largest bloc, and we're going to fall into irrelevancy. So my point is, if we're not going to save what's left, that's a bigger problem for me. Yeah. So that's what this is for me, is giving an opportunity island wide, but specifically in the North and East, which I think are the most underserviced markets. It'll have the most dramatic effect, but this is a unity. This is an all-in-wide. So I'm looking into bringing billions of dollars. We've done an initial assessment. It looks like 15,000 jobs easily to do this.
That's amazing, man.
Easily.
Yeah.
You have to also understand the space economy is not a finite industry. It's space. If you look at something like petroleum, you know how many barrels are there. There's a certain extraction amount. That's it. This is endless. Intergalactic travel is a thing. Going to Mars is possible. Going to the moon only takes 3.5 days. The amount of satellites that are in there is only going to dramatically increase. The cost is only going to come down. It's going to open up new frontiers. There's going to be a huge explosion in this industry. But you will start to see me, and that's one of the reasons I'm actually coming out now, is I can't do this quietly.
Yeah.
This is space.
I'm surprised you kept it this quiet this long. Like I would be like, this would be the talk of the town if, someone else was pushing this. So clearly you have a vision, a path that you want to take. And the steps you're taking is like, you're at a very monumental point right now to let the world know space alone is real. And you're here to let the world know that you're going to actually build a space station in Sri Lanka. There's going to be people just like in the movies, like they don't want you to do this. I feel like there's going to be certain dark energies that don't want you to succeed because maybe they want to launch.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe just from a security standpoint, you are a threat because you're launching things to the space.
Yeah. So that's primarily why I'm like my website is thin, is because the space industry is a relatively classified industry. I mean, space is the be all end all from a defense capability. Sam Altman, OpenAI, he said if I was young today, I would study space. There's a reason for that. Did you see that?
Yes.
Do you know why he said that? Because space is a new frontier for us. There's only so much capability that AI can answer. You see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
That's why Sam Altman said that. AI is going to push us out of Earth. It will take over in such a way that our purposeness on Earth is different from out of Earth.
Yeah.
And so he said that for a reason. And you have a daughter. I believe this is something that we need to dramatically shift, is get more kids involved in this. This is why knowledge share is important. And this is why it's a big proponent of this. Space launch is going to be completely AI driven, AI monitored. Believe it or not. That's going to happen within 10 years. So by the time we build this out, we're predicting it's going to take about 3 to 5 years. Now, to your question about the threat, I find is probably India. India has got the geographic advantage and the economic advantage, but they don't have the reusable rocketry, right?
Oh, what they built wasn't reusable.
No, but they'll get it eventually. My prediction for India in space is what the Japanese did to the car manufacturing industry. I think Indians are going to win in terms of that perspective. And I think the US has to checkmate them. And the Western markets have to checkmate India. And I think Sri Lanka is a great opportunity. That's like my big picture on this. There's a lot of smart people in India. Don't forget AI. It's going to teach new technologies.
Of course, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so AI is going to teach people things. This is
like they're going to be able to train the model they need to get the information they need. Like
exactly.
That's like it's unlimited possibilities. How is the Sinhalese media receiving this? What's their narrative? Are they seeing it from a negative standpoint? Are they supporting you? Like, where's that landscape right now?
I've built a lot of inroads with the Sinhalese community there because I'm brave.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
kudos to you, man.
I don't speak Sinhalese.
Yeah.
I've slithered my way in rooms just being that inquisitive guy. I've started to make a name for myself. Even on X, like on Twitter, a lot of people had given me that positive momentum to come here and do something. But on the onset of that, a lot of people are fearful. Who's this guy with this, American accent,
crazy
walking
ambition.
in, Tamil, doesn't speak Sinhalese.
Yeah. So
I've had to face those challenges, but I have the right mentorships around me from the Sinhalese community that understand me, that accept me. But to be honest, one of the main motivations that I had to start this company was there was a group of Sinhalese people who are no longer in my circle who decided to bet against me in the sense of they don't think, I have an ability to make a name for myself there. And so that actually fueled me, like I am going to make a dramatic difference here. So the more naysayers I have, the actual more fuel I need. Just now on the media side, this is the first, video media I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I've approached think tanks in Colombo and they are fully on board.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're doing this quietly.
Yeah.
And I'm
Be
gonna
loud, be loud.
Be loud about it. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
And I didn't know where to start. So eventually this will make the media, but I think what is going to surprise people is the team I'm building.
Yeah.
Like
A powerhouse.
I can't do this as a one-stop.
Powerhouse.
I have a powerhouse of people. Like I said, like I
Sorry,
have,
just to pause you. Have you watched Tamil movies?
I do, but not.
Did you watch the latest Rajini movie?
No. I know.
I can't even insert the beat. Well, the whole thing is called Powerhouse, and then there's like a sick beat comes in.
So I messed that up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
but you're right. You actually said I'm building a crazy powerhouse, but
yeah, no, I'm building something that is difficult for a lot of Sri Lankans to understand. But like I said, money is the universal language, and that is where I think people are going to be like, and the headlines will show the investments I'm going to get. You know, I'm going to let my actions do the talking, especially with AI. This is like literally the most foundational time to make really big bets. So that's kind of my argument, but have a plan behind it.
Yeah.
I believe Sri Lanka is the door handle to the universe. And this is something that I'm hoping to bring capital in to make this capacity happen.
Considering it's still being in Sri Lanka, and whether it is predominantly in a Sinhalese community or not, whatever the case may be. I know you said you can't talk a lot about the location of it. How are you taking the measures to ensure that this is going to be an equal opportunity for all ethnics and all groups and all communities?
It's a phenomenal question. My view is it's space, and nobody has a territorial, no matter where you launch from. This is a Sri Lankan driven initiative to uplift everyone in unison. I'm even coming far away from I'm Tamil, you're Sinhalese, you're Muslim. I think some of that, it's important. But at Space Ceylon, this is my company, this is my directive. I want winners. You have to believe in the vision, and we're going to help me execute it. If you're able to do that, nothing else matters. But in terms of redeveloping those funds, it's going to be island-wide. Money's going to solve a lot of those communal issues. When everybody is in prosperity together, that's what's going to happen. A great example of this is the 1996 Cricket World Cup. We were in the midst of a civil war, but when Sri Lanka won the Cricket World Cup, everyone was together.
Everyone celebrated. Yeah.
Everyone was together.
Yeah.
Unity, celebrating a win. So that's exactly the same approach. I want to have unity on this, celebrating a win, but this is going to be a multi-ethnic corporation. It's going to be completely racism free. All the principles for inclusiveness.
My brain's just trying to figure this out. Like someone in our community doing something just so far-fetched that you can't even imagine. Like, I don't even know what your brain's going through. Like, my brain goes through so many different wavelengths just trying to figure out how I'm going to, like, build an app. Just know that you have to build a space station. That's just, like, crazy stuff. Like, what's your next steps, man? Like, I know you said a lot of people are coming on board, things are happening, but what is your next steps?
First of all, I want to get the word out. Right.
Okay.
Because I want people to understand the tremendous value Sri Lanka has in the space economy, backed by science.
Yeah.
There's challenges to this. I'm working through those challenges one by one. And I'm building the right people to help me address those challenges. So there's micro challenges. Like I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses.
Yeah. So that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because now my question to you is those weaknesses, like, would you consider yourself, are you the domain expert? Who is the domain expert that you're bringing on board? Like for my business, I had to bring someone who wears the hat, like the guy that you bring on board to get investments.
Yeah.
You bring on board to close a deal, right?
Yeah.
We had to bring one of those type of individuals.
Yeah.
You feel like you've narrowed down that person or team?
Yeah. So I've narrowed down somebody on the Sri Lankan side who's going to help me run all the micro implementation of this. He's very senior, very well experienced, very well liked. And most of all, I know him exceptionally well because trust is everything in this business.
Yeah.
Once this individual does join, it's going to help things on the micro side. I think people are going to start to understand. So people are going to start to create awareness based off of the rest of my bench. I'm at an implementation stage. So on the micro side, I'm on one side, and I'm going to stitch this together. On the macro side, we need space people involved.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a space person. Now, those technical experts go from just investors to clients. So they're investing with me with the intention to launch from this spaceport.
Yeah.
So these are not just people who are sitting on the golf course that are investing with me. These are people who have active space companies that are competing with so many other space companies for very limited launch slots that are controlled by SpaceX and the larger billionaires. Just like Microsoft got broken up in the 90s, like most people don't know that they had to save Apple, right? Because if Apple floundered, they were going to get broken up. SpaceX is going to face the same thing. They cannot dominate the market. Since 2022, SpaceX has launched more satellites than the world combined.
That's insane.
So the Department of Justice, in my view, is going to knock on their door and say this is anti-competitive. That's just on the American side. On the global side, the world's going to be like, this isn't fair. Why is everything being launched from America? So Sri Lanka is going to help balance that. In my next steps is to bridge the technical gap with the right technical experts and bring in the investment. That's my specialty. I have diplomatic mentors. I'm looking to build a board on this. I have big visions for this. This is a pre-seed startup, pre-revenue startup. But once I get my bench going, which is going to come quickly, because I predict next year is going to be a really big year for Space Ceylon. Just the fruits of what I did this year is going to come to fruition next year. And so once that does happen, I think people will start to come on board based on the level of the kind of people that I'm getting involved. If I'm able to get involved people that are part of the SpaceX founding team, it's game over after that. And so that's my initiative, is to bring in the technical experts, bring in the financial capital, but I really want the diaspora, whether you're Tamil, Sinhalese, it doesn't matter to me. The diaspora needs to know that there's someone like me doing this.
Your next steps is get the word out.
Yes.
Support.
Yes.
People to see you.
Yes.
And see the vision.
Now, I know, like I said earlier, Sri Lanka has a very turbulent, toxic past. We are products of this.
Yes.
I'm coming here to change that narrative, and I want Sri Lankans to have a better future model, as I mentioned earlier. And I think AI, I can't underscore enough how AI is going to supersede a big revolutionary change in Sri Lanka. AI and those space domains are the two domains that Sri Lankans, inside or outside the country, need to focus on.
So I have a crazy question for you.
Of course.
Let's just say we're like, at the end of this video, we post it. Elon sees it.
Word is starting to spread on this.
I'm sure he's aware.
I'm sure he's aware.
Yeah.
I'm be honest.
Yeah.
I'm obviously the kind of person.
If you're in talks with SpaceX founders, I'm sure a text message has gone through. I mean, I feel like there's no way like someone's building a space station in Sri Lanka. If you're in talks with the right people, I'm sure someone knows.
He's done this, but it's beyond him. There's Jeff Bezos, there's Rocket Lab. There's so many companies that are doing this. We are at just the beginnings of this. Space tourism is a huge opportunity, one of the biggest growth markets. I talked about the overview effect. Space science, things you can do in zero gravity. Space defense, huge, a largely classified industry. At the same time, space communications is big. Obviously, space exploration. Elon Musk's goal is to make this a multiplanetary species.
Yes.
And in order to do that, we have to significantly increase launch capacity. Sri Lanka is the doorway to the universe. Space Ceylon will be the door handle. I'm building the door handle for this. How do we unlock this?
What are you trying to do with space launches?
So I'm trying to develop space launch capacity, but it doesn't stop there. We're an end-to-end company. So we're going to be working with manufacturers that are going to put satellites in space, and then we're going to develop constellations in space that are going to be AI driven and monitored within space. These satellites are going to communicate with each other. That's literally where the model is going. We are going from a model of things happening in terrestrial networks into space-based networks. It's going to come. It's going to come. And so once that happens, it's going to be a dramatic shift. We're not there yet.
Where we have come far as even just the human species and what we've been able to get done, I don't think it's far-fetched what you're trying to get done. From everything that you just spoke about today, like I'm convinced this is like 100% doable, and your 3 to 5 timeline is probably the correct timeline. Like it's like maybe 10 years ago, it would have been like, no, this is like a 20-year project. Nah, man, like where we are with AI and how far we've come.
Exactly.
Like what we see today with Gemini and their models and VO being VO1 and 2 and stuff, they already have every model in play.
Yeah.
That's already working its butt off.
Yeah.
They just can't release its cards yet, right?
Of course.
And I was talking to someone the other day and I was telling them, I'm like, when AI was becoming AI thing on a commercial consumer basis, one thing that people didn't understand that the moment ChatGPT came out, that's when AI became a consumer product. And that's when people understood that there is something called AI.
Exactly.
Before then, it was not a thing.
Exactly.
But what people fail to realize is that Google had large language, like they had models, language models reading into our data, into all the stuff that we've uploaded. The reason why they gave us, like the Pixel phone comes with free unlimited upload for Google, is because they understand the more data they get, the better they can build their models. And that's how they were able to release small little increments and be like, hey, listen, now you can search a red banana and it can go through all your images and figure it out. Bro, that's AI. They already had all these things built in. They just couldn't come out and say they're Skynet, right? And that's why when they even released Bard, it was a joke. But Bard was only a joke because they couldn't come out and say they have Gemini.
Yeah.
Because Gemini would just screw everyone's brain up. Like Nano Banana and their latest image model, their latest video model. These are all versions that were probably already there a few 6 months ago. And they're already way ahead of the game. It's just how the world works. And when I think about what you're trying to do with rocketry and trying to build a space station and the economics around it and understanding the technical challenges, but how you're going to overcome the technical aspect, it's going to be AI that puts you in the forefront.
When it comes to AI and when it comes to AI models, you're completely spot on.
Yeah.
On the Google example, on OpenAI, most people don't know this, but I studied AI. That's the thing, I study things.
Yeah.
So OpenAI, the foundation for that was off of something called the Google Transformer.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
You're surprised I know this. I know you. But I studied this, man. I honestly did. And so OpenAI won't exist without Google scientists. Google scientists developed the technology for OpenAI to be even existing.
Yeah.
Here's something I'm going to tell you that you don't know.
Go.
Eric Schmidt.
Yeah.
You know him, right?
Yes.
First CEO of Google, ex-chairman of Google. Do you know what he does today? Any idea? He's 70 years old. He just became the CEO of a space company. Most people don't know this. The question is why? And remember, he's 70. That tells you something. He anticipates the fruits of his labor to deliver during his lifetime. Mm-hmm. That's how quickly. Doesn't that tell you something? Yeah. He just joined this year. He's the CEO. He's not an investor. He's the day-to-day CEO.
How come this is not news?
Most people don't know this.
Why
I'm in the industry. I study the industry. I follow this. So you know why he's doing this? Mm-hmm. Because he understands what I told you. Terrestrial networks are not here forever. Eventually, AI, the cost of compute and the cost of electricity are going to get to such a demanding level that the best place to put some of these are in space. From a cooling perspective, space is very cold. And how cooling is one of the hardest things to solve is cooling. We don't have the fresh water supply for these data centers. Nuclear electric is a new technology.
Yeah.
Thermal propulsion. Like our technologies are going to change with AI. Wait till we hit artificial superintelligence. Yeah. That's going to the thing is we can't understand ASI. Yeah. We don't have the capacity to understand ASI. So when you think of this forward of AGI, ASI, and if you think Sri Lanka is going to be a pen and paper country, while this is the backdrop of the world, you're incredibly misguided.
And that's the revolution.
That's the revolution. Yeah. There's going to be an AI revolution worldwide. India is so advanced on AI, right? Mm-hmm. Advanced in the sense, not at the level of America or China, but getting there. Yeah. First of all, the user base is the most in the world. They have the STEM people that are involved in AI. And you think Sri Lanka is going to be 30 kilometers away and just be pen and paper, while 30 kilometers away, there's a full-blown AI system. That's not going to happen. Yeah. I'm hoping the word comes out. Yeah. This is just the start.
This is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning for me. And thanks for having me on this.
And this is a big thank you from my end as well. The fact that you reached out and you saw my YouTube and you saw my video and it was recommended to you. I feel like it's just the universe putting us together. You know, I'm glad you came on board, man. I really appreciate you spending the time here.
Thanks for having me.
Explaining to the world where you are and what you're trying to do and how you're going to change the landscape.
And I'll be back.
I will definitely have you back.
Absolutely.
Get some updates from you because you didn't name drop. I want some name drops.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it, man. Like this is an eye opener, right? Of where we are, where we're headed to the future, right? So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. You're going to start to see me more on different media thanks to you. Breaking the ice is the hardest part. There's a reason why I reached out to you.
Yeah.
It's because I'm comfortable with you.
Obviously, it doesn't end here and you're going to keep going. How do we follow you? Like, how do we follow your journey?
That's honestly, yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put all the links here.
All the links. X is probably the best bet.
Okay.
Following me on X or Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. So pay attention is what I'm trying to say. And have hope. Have hope that there's somebody here who's really trying to solve some big problems. And he's not really that crazy.
Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate this.
Thanks for having me, man. I really, really, really appreciate this. Thank you.
Just before we wrap it up, everyone, please look at the links below. Every single channel that you can connect and be part of his journey. It's all going to be there. Follow him, follow the journey, support him. I think this is going to be a very great initiative that we need to be part of. Also want to give a super shout out again. Thank you to VMS Travels for sponsoring this episode. An amazing company. Thank you for watching the episode. I hope you enjoyed it because this one's definitely a special one. It's a different type of episode and it came out of nowhere. So this is all timing. So thank you again for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.